Okay, I call this meeting of the Jefferson County Board of Zoning Appeals to order. Mr. Terry Reno, will you open us tonight in prayer, please?
I will. Father, we're so thankful for all the blessings you bestow upon us and all the gifts that you provide us. And we ask that you be with us tonight as we go through our agenda, that you will give us the foresight to come together to make the decisions that we need to make to better our county. We ask that you continue to help us grow and prosper in all that we do. But most of all, we thank you for your son, Jesus, and all he's done for us. In his name, amen.
Amen. Mr.
Let's all
Lakeland?
stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Lakeland. Okay.
You can come on
You
up.
come forward here to the podium, sir.
Sorry about that. Where that's coming from. Me and Jordan went by their property today to see them. He's followed way back down, and he can explain more about it tonight. It's a 5-acre tract up on High Store Road. I don't know where. He needs 10-foot variance to build the garage and it's a double wide or something? Yes, sir. Double wide. And so it drops off in the back. Now, how many feet to go before it drops off? Do you know exactly?
It's a constant drop off, and what I've done is,
Build up some rock there.
a rock retaining wall approximately 15 feet tall and backfill it, compacted back to that. I don't want the house right on that, so I've got about 5 foot of area between where the edge of the house would be and that rock wall.
Right.
Below the rock wall is mapped out for a pre-approved septic system. So I can't really encroach any more than that because of the embankment. It has to have a 25-foot setback from the embankment in order to have a septic. So my biggest
And
concern,
Jordan, he didn't have a problem with it at all.
my biggest concern was I didn't understand why we had a 55-foot setback on
Well, it
Hastings
goes through the
Road.
middle of the road.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. From the center
But
of the road.
he needs the 10-foot is what he needs.
Yes, sir. That would give it a 45-foot setback from the center of the road.
Okay. Everybody understand what we're looking at here? Okay. Entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to grant the variance of 10 foot for on the front setback due to topography issues.
Okay, we have proper motion.
I'll second.
A second, any discussion? Being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes.
We'll get you a letter out so you're ready.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a variance request. A variance request on the lot size on the survey for the house located at the corner of Pinchy Hollow Road and Flat Gap Road, New Market, the Flat Gap Baptist Church. Do we have anyone here?
Yeah, Fred Taylor's here. This is a unique one deal too, because the parsonage, this is Flat Gap's parsonage for as long as I've been living. And they're ready to wanna sell it, and what's left of that parcel is the cemetery. And so they had, the only way they could cut it up was what's with a yard and the parsonage, and it didn't quite meet the 40,000 square feet. And Jordan, I called Jordan before I even put him on here, and he didn't have a problem with it.
Okay.
So, only question I got is and I don't have an issue, Fred, but was the health department okay as far as the,
Septic
The
drainage.
septic.
They already have a septic permit, it's been there since the sixties.
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they
Did he
didn't have a
think that there
problem.
would be enough for reserve there then, basically, for that, if it were to go bad, or you don't know?
I do not know.
Okay.
I would think
Well,
there-
Tom's already signed the plat, so.
Oh, okay, I just didn't have one on, he signed yours? Okay, if he signed it, then I'm.
Fred's got a signed copy, it's Fred.
I do not have a copy, he said he would wait till they bring
Oh,
the
okay.
variance on.
Okay,
But
Fine.
he's cleared it. Good.
Yeah, he has looked at it.
Yeah.
okay,
Like I say, it's just a unique situation. They approached me about selling the parsonage, and I didn't give it much thought. Then when we got to looking at it, I said, that's not the guidelines, so we'll have to get a variance.
okay.
You see the map, and we're not really that much out of sequence. The lot beside it is .67, and the next one's 17ths of an acre, so
Yeah.
it's not nothing real. So, but
Okay, anybody else have a question? Okay. Everybody understand what we're voting on? Okay. I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to grant the variance request for lot size for this property on Hitchy Hollow Road and Flat Gap Road, and, based upon the circumstances, it was just one of those pieces of property that was sort of, just got isolated just due to what's around it.
Right.
So,
Okay, we have proper motion, we have second.
no second.
Proper motion second, any discussion? Proper motion and second. Second, all in favor? Motion passes. We'll move on to, planning commission, call the meeting to order. Again, I hope you've read the minutes, you've had those. If, yeah.
I always have a handout, don't I? Can you take one?
Marion Knight, 440 West Main Street in Danvers. And on your agenda for the past several months, you've had an item called
Land use plan, possible rezoning of Jefferson County, time permitting. At past meetings, you've postponed this agenda item as you intended to discuss rezoning some areas for commercial use, and you needed to have zoning maps and overlays in order to do that. I would like to request that you start your discussion not with rezoning areas for commercial use, but rather with cleaning up the zoning district that has caused the most problems for this county, and that is the A1 Agricultural Forestry District. I've heard members of this commission say that everyone hates A1. Therefore, why not deal with A1 first? To fix the problems in A1, you don't need any maps. You just need a copy of its permitted uses. I've distributed a copy of A1's.
for easy reference. I also have a copy of the development standards, just in case you need them. You can see that many of the permitted uses have nothing to do with agriculture or forestry. Developers who are tempted to use their imaginations about what could possibly be built.
People who live next to A1 land never know what's going to pop up next door. And the Board of Zoning Appeals is frequently asked to add even more uses. It's time to address this to help prevent future problems and make it perfectly clear that A1 land is only for agricultural or forestry use. If someone is conducting a currently allowed activity on A1 zone land, they be forced to stop. They should be grandfathered in. What I am suggesting, however, is that you ensure that allowed uses in the A1 district clearly reflect agricultural or forestry activities so neighbors, developers, and this board can save time, expense, and arguments about what is or should be permitted. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Knapp. Okay, that's all the citizens' input we had. We'll move on to new business. And the first item we have is the final plat approval for a 3-lot subdivision off Lafayette Road and Doling Lane, in Newmarket. Elizabeth Collins. Do we have anyone here representing Collins?
Yeah, she has the signed copies. They didn't show the house side on them last month, you'll recall.
Okay.
And so I think Don Howard, yeah, Don, drawed them on there. So she has the copies if y'all need to see it.
Just, okay. So we got the house sites on here this time. If I'm not mistaken, that was the only thing that we lacked, wasn't it?
Yeah,
She just needs to sign it.
Carter's already signed off on it. She needs to sign it, and then if y'all approve it, then we'll get it signed, she can forward it.
Do you have any questions for Ms. Collins?
I don't think so. So we got the, we got the proper signatures, from environmental. We're good. Okay.
Being none, we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Have a proper motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion?
Does all these meet the averaging and,
They do.
okay.
Any further discussion? Being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Collins.
I think the next one is, they're not here.
They're not here, so we'll
The next one's been pulled there, Chairman.
We'll move on to C. Revised final plat of Lake Haven, Phase 1 and 2, off of Brightstone Way in Scribble by Landard American Incorporated. We have anyone represent them here?
Yeah, there's a couple boards back there. You have a small copy in your packets. I don't know if you wanna see a larger one, Josh has got one, we do too. And me and Jordan went over there today. Took us about 4 hours, no, I'm kidding. Anyway, we got there, we got back. He did miss his meeting. A lot of things changed since I've been over there. I mean, they're doing a good job. I hadn't been on the new road that comes in from Sevier County. It looks nice. They're doing a really good job. I'm impressed.
Thank you, sir.
I
And
think,
this is more or less an as-built, that they want to clean up, I reckon, and everything, right, Josh?
Yes, sir.
I think what it was is that as some of these homes got built, they weren't exactly in the lot location that they were in originally. So the surveyors come in there and cleaned that up. And, and put those in where they're actually at now. So, he'll have signed copies for all this before he recorded again, won't he?
I guess you're going, yeah, you'll have to record it again, so, I mean, Tom signed off of it, that'd be no problem. You don't have it tonight though, do you?
I do,
Where Tom signed?
you only have a copy with Tom's
Yeah,
signature on it.
but once you approve it, and Tom, I mean, he's already approved it too, so it's just formality.
Okay,
We'll redo it, and I'll sign off on it.
okay.
Any other questions?
No, I mean, I understand what's going on and as far as that goes, and, really, there's probably more information on this map than we had on the first one, because it does show where he has all his wells and his water in, which we didn't see that on, the locations of that before. So we know we're good there, and we know that the septic system has already been in and approved, and the roads are in, so, I think the biggest thing that you're looking at here is that some of the houses didn't line up exactly on the first plat, and so now then they've come back and said, hey, these are the coordinates and this is where they're actually located at. So, I don't think anything has changed on density at all. So, I mean, that's just that's the way I looked at it earlier when I was looking at it. I sort of glanced back at the other one that was there, and that seems to match up and what's going on, so, sometimes I wish we had as-built for some of the others that presented back before us.
So these are lined up where they're supposed to be now?
Yeah, well, yeah, they are. What it was is that they sent it to us originally, okay? Well, when some of the houses got built, they got skewed a little bit, so what the surveyor's done is that he's actually come back here and said, instead of that lot this way, it's this way. And so now then we have all the lots with the coordinates on them, exactly where they're at, with the houses on them,
Oh, okay.
right there.
This is where everything is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just more or less change the lots to match the houses.
Well, that's sort of well, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We have any other questions? Okay, everybody understand what we're voting on? I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve, this revised plat, with the criteria that, all the signatures will be on it before it's brought to Tim and signed by the secretary.
You would need the Sevier County Road man to sign, right?
So the Sevier County Road is already, we're good there.
Okay.
So that's already
Does he
been,
need to sign the plat? I guess not, since it's
He
not
can't, I don't know
county.
that can
Not
he
our
sign a
lot.
Jefferson County plat?
Yeah, he probably can, okay.
No.
I can remember how he does it.
Well, the main thing is, if Tom signs, what he's signed is
Oh, yeah,
if the
Tom's
road's
got
in,
no problem
is the
with
road's in the development,
Yeah.
okay? So,
We have a motion, we have a second, proper second, and now we'll carry on with discussion.
Okay.
Just want to get you back.
Sorry.
No, you're all right. Is there any more discussion? Okay, being none, we'll vote. All those in favor of approving the final plat, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
We got everything released and everything.
No, he's not releasing bond.
Okay,
I still have a paving bond
okay.
for my interior road.
All right,
I've got 1,800 foot left.
all right. I just want to make sure.
Yes,
So
sir.
we
Thank
still
you.
got that.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is discussion of the land use plan, possible rezoning of Jefferson County. Jordan is not with us tonight, but I've got words, the maps are not yet completed.
They've had trouble with, Bainbury, for some reason, getting some, but they, pretty sure they'll get them next month, but who knows? Hopefully, it must take longer than we thought.
Okay, we have a motion to postpone that till next month.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Okay, do we have any other business?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would like to put, looking over the A1 zoning on the agenda for next month's meeting to discuss some of what's in it,
Okay.
because there's a lot of stuff here. I feel like it's being used as a dumping site for zoning. So I think we need to clean that up.
Okay, can we get that put on the agenda to discuss next month?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was part of what that.
I think it is, but
Let me make a suggestion here on this thing. And I'm gonna oppose it if it starts down this road. I'm not gonna support anything that's not a comprehensive thing. I'm not starting with A1 and picking it apart just because of a residential or just because somebody wants campgrounds and something. We either look at the whole thing or we don't do it. Because there's no need of us starting and picking apart one at a time on this thing. Everybody deserves protection. The landowners, the property owners, the houses, the whole thing. If we're gonna do it, then everybody gets something out of it. We don't just pick and choose, hey, we're gonna take care of the residential people. Because I'm gonna oppose that, because that's not right to do that to the landowners in the county. They have just as much property rights as the people that are in the houses that have moved in here. So unless we start and do a comprehensive thing, I think we're failing on this thing. We're failing the citizens, we're failing the landowners when we take one thing, knowing we are starting a comprehensive thing, and we start picking it apart.
I would agree with that, but where would you want to start with?
I want to start with the whole thing.
The whole thing.
And until we get the maps, there is not any need of starting picking something apart, because we don't know what the land use is. I think when we get those maps, we're gonna be surprised as far as what it's zoned and as far as what it's being used for. And I think that with the absence of those maps, we're just a feeling in the blind. We're like the blind folk, we're blind man with an elephant. They all had a piece of it, and it looked different. And I don't think that we're gonna do any good until we figure out a comprehensive thing. And if that is overlays, if that is changing A1, then we need to do it all together. We don't need to take one thing and do it in a vacuum. So I mean, I'm glad to discuss it, but I'm gonna oppose any vote of changing any zone unless we do everything
And
in the
you're not
zoning
gonna
law.
do this in a month. I
I
mean, we've got
understand.
103 tax maps. I think it's 103 or 4. That's a lot to go through. You know, 85% of the county is zoned A1. Always has been, from 98 up.
And the whole premise when we started with this, and the reason it was done that way, is that's the only way zoning came in this county.
Right.
It was zoned as to what it was. And I think with, you start looking at a zone and say, okay, we're gonna pull this out, pull that out. How are you gonna address this stuff outside? Are you gonna say you're gonna be able to do, R1 outside the growth boundaries? And if you are you gonna be like Chigger and say, hey, even if you're R1, you're gonna have to hold 40,000 or better outside, because we don't want density outside. And picking A1 apart is not gonna get you that. You're gonna have to discuss that when you start down that road.
And you're gonna find, when you go over these maps, a lot of stuff that they missed in 98. Now, we, over the last 25 years, corrected some of that stuff. There's still stuff out there that's being used in A1 that shouldn't be in A1.
And there was agreements made to get that zoning through when that thing went through
That's right.
that should have never been done. And you're gonna find that out. I mean, and it's like I say, So I think we need to look at it comprehensive. And if we need an A2, if we need a R5, if we need then we need to figure out what we're doing, because when you pull these out, where are you gonna put them? You can't outlaw a legal business.
So A1's the most broad. I think when we start discussing, then we get into all the others and look at more appropriate places to put them.
But I think you got to figure out, do we even have enough zones to put these in?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But we gotta talk about it.
I understand that,
So
but
we
what
agree
I'm,
on that part.
what I'm saying is, I want us to do it the whole thing. I don't wanna do
Yeah,
it
I
in a
agree.
vacuum.
I'll agree with that, yeah.
And taking A1 and starting picking it apart, you don't even know where you're gonna put the other stuff in.
That's why you talk about it. That's what I'm suggesting. We discuss it and then start looking at places to put it. If there's nowhere to put it, then we start looking at adding zones. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I
But
think
that's what I'm saying,
So,
you,
yeah,
you
cover the
need,
whole
you
thing.
need to wait until you get the maps. It is not gonna do any good in this thing until you see the maps and see what it's being used, cause you're gonna get an idea of what that area is used. If it's A1 and the majority of it's industrial, we need to take a look at that. Or if it's A1 and it's got all these businesses in it, we need to know that. Because you're not gonna be able to move it out of that unless you're gonna be willing to rezone the whole thing.
So to clean this up, what you're wanting to do would definitely fall into what we got. And when we started down that road,
Yeah, I don't think we need to-
we weren't gonna touch it till we had the maps. And when we decided to do it, we were all under the agreement we were gonna be doing it for a while. It
Yeah.
wasn't something gonna be overnight, so we'll group that into what's on the agenda that's been moved to next month.
And one more thing. I don't think it is fair to the citizens to put this on the agenda every month, time permitting. That we could just bring it up anytime we want to. I think we're
Well,
gonna
it's-
have to set a date.
It's not something, we're ready to do it as soon as the maps are here. And
Yeah.
getting the maps here is out of our control.
We'd had them 3 months ago, but
Yeah.
you keep
Yeah.
running into obstacles now.
And that's something that's out of our control. When they come, we want it on the agenda so we can start with it.
Cause if you've not got it on the
Yeah, I
agenda,
don't-
you don't get to
Can't
talk
do
about
it.
it.
Can't talk about it.
That's why I keep putting it on every month, hoping we'll get the maps.
Yeah. If maps come in, we're ready to roll.
You know what's gonna be funny though, don't you? She's gonna work all hard on these maps and everything else, and we get in and we start making changes, she's gonna have to turn around and do them all over again.
Yeah, it ain't
Yeah, but they
gonna-
got them in a template then.
Yeah, but it ain't gonna, it's gonna take a while.
Yeah.
I wish they'd worked on it a little longer in 98, but obviously they didn't.
We're just lucky to get it done.
Yeah.
You know the reason it's put in is cause trailer parks.
I know.
That was the only reason the zoning got put in.
I was only 3 when it got put in, so I can't speak.
No, I'm talking to Tim.
Yeah, no, they.
That was the reason.
The reason we got zoning in
That was
98
exactly the reason.
No
Yeah.
more trailer parks.
No more mobile home parks.
They were cutting it up in trailer parks right and left,
Yeah,
kinda like D.R. Horton houses.
that's right.
Can we not do anything about D.R. Horton houses?
No,
They're all in
ma'am.
the city.
They're all in the city,
They're all in the city,
every one of them.
which he planned it that way, of course.
Yeah, they want that sewer.
Yeah.
They can
Well,
reach out one another's window and shake hands.
Hey, what's this, where's this one at that's right out here by, the dollar store, if you turn at the dollar store?
That's in the city.
That's
Dandridge
still,
City.
that's
Dandridge
Dandridge City?
They're next to it.
Mm-hmm,
The one up there at the county line, Jefferson City went up there and annexed that.
yeah.
That's all in the city.
That's the only place they'll go.
Well, I figured it was. I just wondered if they, you know.
It's the only place they'll go.
Do we have any other business, any other discussion? Being none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Any second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.